Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez.
And I'm Kevin Frio. We'd like to remind you right at the top that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website. Log on at www.town.barnstable.ma.us.
Earlier this week, we had the privilege of being invited to the Zion Union Heritage Museum here in Hyannis for a preview of an amazing collection of artifacts from the American slavery era. The private collection, owned by Ethan Raynor of North Carolina, is on loan to the museum and will be on display to the general public for the first time ever throughout the month of February in honor of Black History Month. During our visit, I had the opportunity to talk with museum president and former town councilor Harold Toby and vice president John Reed about the exhibit and its significance as a historical narrative. You're going to be seeing an incredible exhibition here for the next month or so to celebrate Black History Month. And I'll turn to you, Harold, first. Talk to me about the exhibit, what it consists of, and how you came upon it.
We came upon the exhibit by having a display at the Highline Tour train this summer. And a lady came through and she asked us if we'd be interested in her son's collection of 18th century, 19th century slave memorabilia. We hadn't seen it, but I told the lady that we'd be excited to look at it. And he came up from North Carolina, Ethan Raynor, and he brought a sample, and John and I went through the sample, and we were just so delighted. It was things that we've never seen, and, well, I'm going to say I've never seen. John has seen some of this, and it was recognizable that it was an outstanding collection that has never been shown anywhere that we know of.
Yeah, it certainly was a privilege a little bit earlier on to see some of this stuff up close and personal. John, you've been a history teacher for a long period of time, and I guess just talk to me about your reaction when you first got to thumb through some of this stuff, and talk to me about what some of your favorite pieces are.
Well, when I first saw it, I was ecstatic. Matter of fact, I almost didn't believe our good fortune that someone actually had a collection of that many documents that displayed manumission papers, sales of slave papers, the United States colored troops, the Revolutionary War era, and more importantly, one of the best ones is an actual arrangement between a slave and a master and selling prior to 1800.
How uncommon is something like that?
That is exceptionally rare. There are a few documents that you probably could not find anywhere else. They were probably in the Massachusetts Historical Archives in Boston, or possibly at the African American Museum in Boston. Beyond that, in New England, that collection would be at a university.
It's pretty unbelievable, the entire scope of this collection. We just got to see a small bit of it, but very soon the general public will get to see dozens and dozens of very rare documents from this, I guess, infamous era in our nation's history, but a very important one nonetheless. And speaking of that, Harold, I'm wondering what you'd like people to get out of their experience with this collection.
Well, it's an awakening experience that I think what they'll take away from it is if we have the children come through, there's an era that they've probably even forgotten about that will, awaken them to that. It's not to degrade anyone with the atrocities that happen, but to remind them so something like this never happens again. And I think they will take that away. And it's like John said, it's an unbelievable exhibit, and you just won't believe. For instance, a document to sell a person. I mean, those things you'll take away with you when you leave.
What were your personal reflections when you first had a chance to look through? We asked John that same question.
I was awestruck. It's an indescribable feeling being of a black and seeing how this impacted my life. And I was in the early 60s, so what I thought was really a terrible time in my life nowhere compare to what the people will see here in this exhibit.
So, John, when people view this historical narrative in its entirety, what will they see? What does the story tell?
The story tells the history of African Americans, Native Americans, and Cape Verdeans who lived in the United States, primarily in Massachusetts, and how it's synonymous with American history. Too many times we hear one version of history when you're in school or when you go to university. Some people say, well, that really shouldn't be talked about. Well, the history is real. It was partnered with American history. It's real Americana like any other history, particularly when you look at the documents and the authenticity. It begins to show a pattern. And we have it displayed by era, historical era. So when you look at the documents, you will go from the colonial era right through the 1900s.
Now, Harold, tell us a little bit about when the exhibition is going to be on display and how long it will stay there for.
Well, as you saw when you were downstairs, a lot of those documents are very, very delicate, and we're going to need a little bit of time to put them together so no one can touch them or put their hands on them in any way. They're very valuable, they're very fragile, and we're shooting for February 4th. We will have some of them up, and we have tons of documents that you haven't seen, and we're going to just keep rotating them through the month of February and probably the month of March also.
So if you come on any given week throughout the month of February, which incidentally is Black History Month, and we'll be talking with you guys as the month goes along.
Yes.
You'll actually be able to see different components of the collection.
Yes, you will.
Month.
You will.
That's fantastic. Now we just have a couple minutes left, and John, I want to ask you with all of the advancements in interracial relations that have happened over the course of the past, I guess, 300 years, really, and where we're at now, why is it so important to keep this in mind and take a look back each year?
Because when Dr. Carter G. Woodson started what was then called Negro History Week, people said, no, wait a minute, you have no history to talk about. We know that we have come a long way in a short period of time, but the progress African Americans and other people of the African diaspora has made has been significant. We need to tell our story as much as anybody else's story. Our story tells our children they have a past. Not only do they have a past, they have a present, but more or less we're building a positive future to be remembered by. If you don't have a past, you don't have a future. And part of the reason why the museum came into being was to remind people on Cape Cod that people of color were here, we're part of the community, and we want to be incorporated in the mainstream, not just during Black History Month. We celebrate Black History 365 and a third every day.
And if I could just add quickly, when I went to school, we did not have any history on Black history, none. No one spoke of it. It was just, not part of the history lesson.
And ladies and gentlemen, I just will say it once again, we're in front of a blank wall right now, but one of the more astounding history lessons that you'll be able to see certainly anywhere on Cape Cod will be here.
In addition to the Ethan Rayner collection, the Zion Union Heritage Museum has special events planned each weekend in the month of February to celebrate Black History Month. And here on Barnstable Today, we too will be celebrating with weekly episodes all month long featuring the museum's staff, exhibits, and programs.
Well, with no meetings left on this week's calendar, all that's left is to say so long. For Kevin Friel, I'm Nick Cortez. We'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.